The world of Witcher Atelier is beautiful. There are steeds that soar through the skies, a city nestled beneath the sea, water conjured from thin air, and houses that appear when its doorknob is set in place. It's been a long time since we've seen anime get this creative. The fantasy genre is trashed by the abundance of isekai slop we get season after season after season after season. But amidst this landfill of shows, there's bound to be a gem that emerges to once again remind us that this is what true fantasy looks like. If we're talking fantasy, I think The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter were many people's first encounter with the genre. That's how Shirahama Kamome was inspired to create Witcher Atelier. Imagine a world where magic can only be cast by witches and only the witches. Coco, like the rest of the world, understands very little about it. They think magic is only reserved for the special few, but little do they know that anyone can draw its power. Long ago, there was a time when all of mankind could wield magic. It granted them peace, happiness, and power. Thus the world was embroiled in war and conflicts. For when man has the power to do anything, then anything he will do. Spells to hurt, spells to manipulate, spells to transform. Magic was beginning to spell humanity's downfall, until a group of witches came together and wiped everyone's memories of magic, leaving only a selected few to know the secrets of it. No one shall know that all you need is some patterns and a special ink to create some of the most magical things in life. Kifri is a witch, who also kinda reminds me of someone, but hey, at least he's not wearing a black compression and those baggy parachute pants. Kifri was at Coco's shop. Kifri wanted to help fix some magic, and so Coco was asked to guard the door. Remember, no outsiders shall learn the secrets of magic, so witches must only cast when no one is watching. Coco watches the entire thing. Like learning the tricks of a magician, she finds out that witches are just people with an art degree, and so she picks up the wand she once bought from a sketchy-ass witch and starts drawing. Coco draws a spell and it turns out to be forbidden. Kifri saves her just in time, but the mom is frozen. And under section 17A of witchcraft, every outsider who discovers magic must have their memories wiped, and so— But my mom, I can't just leave her in the— I don't give a fuck about your mom. No, please, I'll do anything. I'll learn magic and become a witch, and I'll work in your sweatshop for as long as you like. Free labor? So please, don't erase my memories. You're fine with 16 hours a day? Yes, of course. No paid overtime? No paid, huh? This anime gives you asthma because there's so many breathtaking scenes. If the world and magic system doesn't amaze you, I guarantee the animation will. For a studio with just one anime to its name, adapting one of the most beloved fantasy manga of the past decade was nothing short of a gamble. But as a wise man once said, it's not gambling when you know you're gonna win. The staff was stacked. They even pushed the release back a year just so the team could present the series at its highest possible quality. Like, can you even blame them? They're not taking this lightly. They even built real costume prototypes to study their movements. The director and screenwriter are massive names in the industry, but the thing that stands out to me is the music. We've got the composer behind some of gaming's biggest titles working on this anime. Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. If you've journeyed through any of those worlds before, you would recognize the subtle influences embedded within the score. I also like how the anime is not religiously faithful to the manga. They don't follow exactly one-to-one. Some scenes, they make it more emotional. Some, they remove the humor. And some, they just went fucking nuts. This whole sequence was just 2 pages from the manga. Nobody would have expected them to go this hard with the action. And the thing about manga is, you're reading at your own pace. Time 2 people reading the same chapter and it could result in 2 drastically different times. Pacing is tough when it comes to reading. You don't really know when to stop and where the author wants to direct your attention. But with the anime, it tells you when to look and where to look. See, this is where anime really helps in conveying the author's true intentions. The pacing, the tone, the music, it all helps the story shine not just by a little bit, but by an extravagant amount. you know what they're going for. The story looks straightforward, but it's actually filled with twists and turns. What begins as a simple story about a girl who just wants to save her mom soon unfolds into something far more intricate. Magic is a work of wonder, meant to inspire and spark hope among the people. Coco was once inspired. Her eyes glimmer in the face and at the foot of magic. She aspires to be a witch, and witches aren't something people fear in this world. They're more like medics. People don't put them on a pedestal even though they do most of the hard stuff. To the rest of the world, they're just normal people with a little bit of magic in them. And that's who Coco wants to be. Just a girl with a little bit of magic that could hopefully inspire children just like her. It is a hopeful aspiration. But the more she learns about magic, the more uncertain she becomes of her own dreams. Spells are meant to help people, and a lot of people need help. So why is it that only a selected few get to keep them? It's the law, they said. In the wrong hands, such knowledge would plunge the world into darkness. From the start of the story, you're taught to believe that. You're taught to believe the pointy caps are good and the brim ones are bad. Magic is sacred. If mankind learns about it, then chaos will ensue. So only a few are chosen to learn the ways of the magic, and they are to keep it secret. That's what you're supposed to believe, and it kinda makes sense. But what if it's meant to make you believe that? What if there's ulterior motives behind these so-called acts of justice? Are the witches' secrets truly meant to protect humanity, or is it for their own personal gain? You are lost in the sauce. You don't even know what or who to believe anymore. You're just like Coco, torn between the darkness, confusing the good with the bad. Keyfree. Just what the fuck is he? Why is he so adamant in getting the brim caps? The story is good in making you question everything you're meant to believe, and at some point, you gotta draw the line between what's human and what's not. See, lies and secrets are two faces of the same coin. The witches may be keeping a secret, but they're lying to everyone else. And once a liar, always a liar, so imagine how many more secrets they could be keeping. Shirahama Kamome has a very distinct art style. Her artwork is deeply influenced by the artistic movements of the late 1800s and early 1900s. It's a very fancy and classical art style, but also, she draws comic covers for DC and Marvel and the Star Wars franchise. What? She loves fantasy works and studying Western artistic traditions, and you can feel that love woven into every page of Witch Atelier. As soon as you open the manga, you're like, BAM! That's the first page, and whoop, this is the second. This is awesome! It's serialized in a monthly magazine, which means the author doesn't plunge into darkness, the artwork has more time to be polished, and you get more pages than a weekly manga. That's why every chapter feels like a new story being told. I could not believe the amount of detail that went into a single page. At first I thought, maybe it's just for the first chapter, you know, to make a good impression, but nope. This level of craftsmanship persists throughout the entire manga. Page after page, chapter after chapter, that same level of artistry never lets up. Borders are what make up a page in a manga. It's the standard way of drawing it, but here, she adds strips along the margins, tucks a scroll into the layouts, and lets her character spill beyond the confines of a panel. I love when mangas are drawn like this. They're not confined in a square box anymore. It feels like they might just jump out of my screen and make me fight a dragon. No wonder it won so many awards. When it comes to page compositions and visual storytelling, it's not just beautiful, bro. You can actually just look at a page and it tells a whole story. And I can't wait to see some of these panels being animated. I just know Buckfilm's gonna go all in. Shirahama described the story as being about possibility and finding a place in a world that seems closed off. Coco is someone excluded from a world she loves, a world that tells her magic belongs only to the gifted, the chosen few who are fortunate enough to be born with the right circumstances. Look closer and you realize this story was never really about magic. Witch Atelier questions that idea at every turn. It asks whether knowledge should belong only to the privileged, and whether ordinary people can find a place in that world. Coco longs for those answers, and the people around her are all struggling with something of their own. They all view magic differently, but ultimately, it's what ties them together. That's what makes these characters feel so human. They're not prodigies destined for greatness. They're gonna hit walls and realize their limits, but little by little, they learn that limitations aren't always a dead end. They're simply obstacles that just need another way around. Because if you can't do something one way, then you just gotta do it the way you can. And I think that's the true message behind WeChat Atelier, that talent isn't everything, that possibility shouldn't belong to a select few, that there's always another path forward even when the world insists there isn't. Because sometimes, moving forward isn't about finding the right answer, it's about finding the people who are willing to help you search for it. And that, to me, is the real magic.